This is the Thrift Hauler. We call our van the Thrift Hauler for two reasons. Number one, we make most of our living reselling things from the thrift. So we travel the country in this bad boy, filling it with thrifted nonsense. Number two, and probably the best reason that this is such a fitting name for our van, most of the modifications that we're about to show you to our van in this video actually came from the thrift. Not kidding. So stick around to check that out. Hit the subscribe button before we get started, and let's check out the Thrift Hauler. One of the best additions I've ever made to this van, and honestly it's one of the most recent, is this bike rack. My car that I drove previous to this van always had a bike rack strapped to the back of it, and anytime I would go anywhere that was very far away from home, I'd have my bike, and I try to ride it as much as possible, especially when traveling. There are just some cities that are better on a bike. It's just a fact. It's just a fact. So we keep our bikes on here, and when we travel around, we try to get in as much exercise that way as we can. It is raised from factory. This bike rack would be sitting about here, just off the ground, and so I added an extra post to it to raise it up just where it's not in the way of my driving vision. And that's about the only addition to the front, besides probably the most obvious one, my light bar. Found that sitting in a thrift store, and at the Goodwill bins, if you don't know, if you watch our channel a bunch, you're gonna know this, but at the Goodwill bins, you pay for things by weight, and I got the thing weighed and it was really heavy. They were like, you know what, you can have it for $6. So it was about $6 for that light bar. It was about the same, 6 or 7 for this bike hitch. It's just kind of a thing they do at the Goodwill bins. They just kind of make up prices, and $6 or $7 to $10 is it's usually about where heavy things are gonna run. So for $14 or so, and obviously a good little bit of manual labor, I got the front of my van, a bike rack, and a light post, and I love it. So let's move on to this side of the van. Over here on this side of the van, this is a hitch rack. If you've ever seen a vehicle driving around town with a basket on their back hitch or front hitch, that's what this is. I got it at the thrift, drilled holes in it, and attached it to my roof racks. These roof racks are one of the few exceptions to things that I did not thrift. I had to pay $130, I think, for a set of these on Amazon, and they've been lovely because, as you'll see as we go around the van, there's quite a bit more attached to them. But this basket can hold my gas cans when we're doing off-road stuff, and honestly that's almost all this basket is for. We do a good little bit of mountain pass driving. We can't do anything too super serious because this van is not four-wheel drive, but it is raised a little bit above factory and has some slightly bigger tires than you might find on other models of this van. So we do a little bit of off-roading, nothing crazy, but we'll go up in these long mountain drives that are several hours long, and if we get stuck, I've got recovery boards and shovels to get my wheels unstuck. And then of course, once or twice we've had to stop and hack up a little tree that I was a little bit afraid to drive over, but that axe doesn't really get used too much. It's just beautiful to look at. I like the nice black and orange. Kind of makes me want to paint part of my van orange, but I'm not going to do that, which leads me to kind of another point about this van. It's spray painted. If you look close, you'll kind of see that. I bought it that way. It was spray painted black from the guy that I got it from. And, you know, it could look prettier, but it also has the added benefit that I can keep a black spray paint can in my van, and if I scratch it up too bad, I just, and it's good to go. But I think that's about enough to say about this side. I felt pretty handy when I attached this basket on here because, you know, to get an actual roof rack basket at the time, I was looking, you know, they were several $100s, and I found this old boy at a thrift store, and a couple holes later, it's just attached to the top of my van. And we haul around some of our thrifted stuff up there that's dirty that we don't want to put in the van from time to time, so very useful. Now, let's move on to the back of the van. When we get to the inside of the van, you're gonna see that there is a bed back there that we use to sleep on when we're on the go. That being said, there's a lot of dirties that you need whenever you're traveling that I don't wanna keep in the van, so I keep the dirty stuff back here. This box here is locked up, and inside the box, oil, jumper cables, funnels for my oil and gas and stuff like that. Of course, here's a gas can. I keep a spare can with actually some gas in it to not only fill up if we go like deep into the mountains or something and happen to be getting close to running out of gas. I try not to have to use this, but it's also come in handy a couple times running into people on the side of the road or something, or sometimes you just find somebody that needs a little gas, just get to the gas station. It's kind of nice to help them out. So I have that ready, and I have my jack in here as well to jack up this van, and it's pretty dirty too, so I just keep all that dirty oily stuff right here. And again, thrifted. This is just a little toolbox that I kind of sealed up and bolted to the back of my van and put a lock on it myself. I don't know if it was Harbor Freight, but it's a pretty cheap, lightweight box. Most of these kinds of van conversions will have an aftermarket bumper with these huge swing away doors that will allow you to put big luggage boxes or toolboxes like this on the back of the van and then just swing them away. And I would love to add that kind of bumper and that kind of swing away setup onto this van, but this isn't that van. I plan on having a much nicer vehicle for road travel one of these days when I feel like spending money on that, and I'll probably do that kind of swing away option to that van. But this van's a beater. This van is for throwing stuff in and not worrying too much about scratching and dinging it up. So lightweight box that is actually attached to the door, so whenever I open this door itself, that swings away. You couldn't really put the heavier kind of box on there like that other vans will have, but again, this is the cheap version of that expensive thing, and that's really kind of a theme of this van. Junk from the thrift attached to my van strictly for utility purposes. So let's move on to the last side of the van. The last side of the van, if it's not too strange of a thing to have a favorite side, is probably my favorite side. One of the very first additions that I made to this van, well, the first addition really was putting on the roof racks that I've already told you about. They're made by Highland. They are pretty much like a universal van mount. A lot of vans come with this lip right here. You can get up close, you can see it comes out about an inch, and this just clamps onto it. It's very nice. It's a very nice set of roof racks. But as soon as I put those on, right after I got the van, I put this roof box on here, and it is very, very handy. And I've had this on here for quite some time. The ladder is a really new addition. This is actually a thrifted bunk bed ladder. It holds my weight quite well, which is kind of the worry with ladders. There's some like stock options for ladders. They're not really stock like camper companies make them, but the regular option for ladders for your vans, the weight limit for them was like 150, 200 pounds, and I weigh almost 400 pounds, so that wasn't gonna cut it. So this is a bunk bed ladder that I bent up and curved to the shape of my van, and it holds my weight really well. So let me go ahead and take the camera and I'll take you up here with me. This box is one of my favorite parts of the van. Of course, it can act for storage for luggage and things of that nature if I want it to, but really I just keep my fun stuff in here. Our hiking backpacks. This is actually like emergency on the go blankets and towels and stuff. If we just need to hit the road and, a fellow YouTuber hits me up and says, hey, come do a video with me, and I need to be like, I'm on the way. I don't even have to pack blankets. They're just ready to go. But also some like snowboard. That's like a miniature skateboard snowboard. That's my actual skateboard. My bike pump, and some of my other bike tools are in here, so I keep this box locked up with the goodies that I need to really go do the adventurous stuff. So it's really just an adventure box, I would say. But this ladder has made all the difference in the world, because used to I'd have to take my cooler out of the van, climb up there with my cooler, and that's not fun. But that's pretty much all the outside stuff. And everything pretty much that I just showed you, except for those roof racks, thrifted from the thrift store. That's why she's the thrift hauler. Now let's take a look inside. Let's start in the front of the van where there's not going to be a whole lot to show, but there is one new addition that I'm very fond of, a new stereo unit. I've never had a stereo unit in my car that played DVDs. It's life-changing if you travel, because we've had several instances on the road where we're kind of in a rural place and the camping weather's not great, so we don't want to get out and hike, and we just got to sit in the van, and we don't want to watch stuff on our phones. So now a really cool added benefit is all the thrifting we do leads us past infinite numbers of DVDs. So we're gonna start now when we're on the road, just buying odd movies that we probably wouldn't watch otherwise because they're not on Netflix and stuff, and just sitting here in the car from time to time, watching DVD. I think it'll be pretty fun. So that's a nice new addition. I don't think there's anything else to talk about. I guess we can go ahead and show this. We put a blackout curtain up with just these simple sliders. One of the hugely important parts of the inside of this van is that I needed everything to pretty much be removable because we use this van at home, not as a camper, but as a thrift hauler. So when we're not traveling on the road, I can just pop this curtain right off. It's super easy to do. And you'll see when I get to the back and talk about the bed pops out. But that's an important one right there. The only other addition up front, my phone holder. I actually have a lot of GoPro equipment that is this brand Ram mount, so a lot of it detaches and I can take parts of this off and attach it to a hook in the back, and this stuff is all modular and on the go, and I love that. But we do a lot of our filming on the road with that bad boy right there. This is the same camera I'm talking to you on now, and we have a second one so we can do 2 angles, but it's very nice, very hands-free to have the camera there and talk to it and not really worry about it. Well, I don't have windows in the back of this van. As you can see, take a look, no windows. There's no windows on the doors when they're closed. It's completely black out in here, so there's no rear view mirror. So it's a GoPro stand instead. Now, let's hop in the back and let's talk about what's going on back there. It's important to note before we get started, you're gonna see there's kind of nice wood paneling in the van, but not all of my doors are finished in, and that's because the door mechanisms that make the pull handles work inside these vans are a nightmare. And I've only just finally come up with a solution that I trust enough that I can panel this back up and leave it. So one of my next van projects is to get the rest of this paneled up like some of this other part is. The back doors you'll see here in a minute are the same way, not entirely, like half paneled and not all the way done. I've replaced these door handles and stuff a couple times now, but my latest job is good to go. Even if your vehicle is not a camper vehicle, you'd be surprised how much a trash can in your van will change your life. It's so great. It helps. It's just get one. Get a trash can for your vehicle. Come on inside. Our bed is a futon. And it's very nice for a couple reasons, because it folds out when we're ready to go and it can fold back up easy. Lots of van builds that you'll see on the internet have really neat mechanisms to turn half a bed or to turn a couch into a bed. And I have designs on one that one of these days, when we get a bigger vehicle, I'm going to be very excited to build. But for now, I need this bed to pop out and not be a problem. So it's just attached to 2x4s down here, and those 2x4s are friction fit in between 2 more 2x4s. And I'll show you when we get to the back. There's a latch that latches the bed down for when we drive, and it's as simple as it can be. And honestly, it's not terribly uncomfortable. Hannah and I have not really complained at all sleeping on this thing. Now, we don't do it but maybe a week at a time, so I don't know how it would be going much further than that, but no complaints there. I'll show you a little bit of something here too. I've just been waiting to finish boxing this in to whenever I do the rest of the doors, but we do have a fan here, and it's just a regular old pop top fan, and I'm very fond of it. It'll suck air in as well as blow air out, and when we're sleeping in the van, it's very nice to have. It's very, very nice to have. I recommend it. I would like to have a second one up here, but it's much like some of the other things with this van I've talked about. I don't necessarily want to spend the money on a new fan and to cut into the roof again on this particular build. When we upgrade to something nicer down the road, I'll definitely have 2 of them, because I like them a whole lot. Again, this curtain you've already seen, but I'm gonna move it out of the way just to show you. I hang my backpacks up here. When we're rolling around, it's very important for me to have quick access to my camera gear, and these bags are pretty much my laptop and camera gear and stuff. I would love to build a safe into here and have some of that stuff locked up so I can leave it in the car and not have to pack it around with me when we're traveling. But again, not the vehicle. It's just, I'm not gonna build a safe into this vehicle. The next one though. But all that modular gear with my camera equipment I was talking about, one of my obsessions in life is having my gear at the ready at any time. So those bags have modular camera gear that will allow me to attach all my different camera models to any of the mounting points that I have there's more utility in that yellow backpack right there than there is this whole van. I'm very particular about my camera equipment. So it's always within arm's reach of me. That's why I bolted it right there. It can't be anywhere out of my arm's reach because I don't want to miss a shot. If you want to define me as a person, a definition of me is I do not want to miss a good shot. So my camera gear is always ready to go. That's almost everything for the van. Let's hop out and go to the back together. The back of the van is where the bed latches down. And I keep some water with us as well as my toolbox back here. I keep just enough tools to where I feel comfortable to work on this van. And they all fit in right there. And they can also go behind the bed, but I just seem to need it so much I don't like putting it away. I like it kind of being an arm reach too. But come down here, the bed latches in just like this. And probably one of the only downsides of this design, it's not really easy to pull it out without two people. I mean, I can kind of do it, but it's better with me and Hannah do it together. But since it's unlatched, now it'll flip up and it's a bed. And honestly, like I said, it's comfortable. I never really had a futon before until we got this van. But vans and futons just makes sense, right? It's ready to go. That's about it. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. I hope you enjoyed this van tour. Yesterday's video, if you didn't already see it, was a game room tour. We toured our game room. We do that every year on the 1st. I kind of feel like now it might be a new tradition every year on the 2nd to do a van tour. I feel like that's a pretty cool idea, especially since we'll probably have another van this time next year. So hit the subscribe button, turn those notifications on, get ready for a year of exploring the country in this van. Maybe even before the year's over, we'll have another one. But either way, if you subscribe and turn those notifications on, you will know. You'll know what we're up to, and we'll love to have you on our future road trips. We're literally about to leave for one right now. Our road trip. It starts now. See you tomorrow.